Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I've got Ray Sanford here. I'm treating his mother currently for neuropathy, and we got introduced. Your mom said that we should get together and talk. Ray has a very cool story, and he's got a company called Detoxify Wellness. And for Ray, what happened was that he was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Correct.
And
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
what's that?
There's stage 3 Hodgkin's.
Stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Yeah. And so he was able to reverse that or cure it essentially through more natural alternative means. So I just asked Ray here today because I think a lot of people get in this mindset that they only have one choice, and that's the traditional medical model when it comes to these types of situations. And
well, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah. I didn't cure it with, the natural stuff at this given time. But what I did do is I had to go through the chemo treatments because at the time I was a single father, and my son only has me. So they were like, Ray, it's 95% curable. It took me 6 months to actually agree to it. I did go down, I did start educating myself and figuring out what cancer was and what the cells are and, why that happens and everything. So when I went down that road for the 6 months, I did like the ketogenic diet. I did a lot of fasting. I actually stopped the progression of my cancer.
Okay.
I actually shrunk. I had it around my kidneys, around my pancreas, and then it was like all in my neck here.
Oh, wow.
But I had shrunk it from the first scan I've done because I got really good at reading those. And when I went in for my second PET scan, because they give you an initial one, and then 90 days later they give you another one.
Right.
And then when I went in and got that other one, my lesions had shrunk. So I was in my head, I'm like, all right, I know what I'm doing is right. So as I kept going further, I went back home to Connecticut, where I'm originally from. I have 2 uncles that were Yale graduates. So they're like, hey, Ray, come up here. Let's go to the Smilo Institute. Let's get a second opinion. I want you to see one of these doctors. Okay, so I flew home, did all that. I spoke with the doctor. The doctor read my results, and he goes, me personally, the only thing I don't see in the paperwork is that they're not 100% sure that that's what it is. So in order for them to be 100% sure that that's what it is, they have to go in and do an extraction. So they wanted to take the lymph nodes out of my neck and then do a biopsy that way.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I came back to Florida, went to my oncologist, and the doctor from New Haven, Connecticut, was communicating with my oncologist here because he knows my uncle. And then they started talking, and he's like, I'll back you up whatever he says, so you feel comfortable enough with what you're doing, because I was obviously scared,
Right.
Cancer, everybody gets freaked out about it. So I ended up coming back. I got the extraction. I went to my surgeon, Dr. Pristina, downtown, and he goes, yes, Ray, he's like, it's, stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's like, you're young. He's like, you're in great shape. He's like, the treatment's only gonna be like 6 months. He's like, you'll go through it like a breeze. He's like, just get it over with, and he's like, you'll be able to bounce back. So I was like, all right, so I had to swallow that one pretty hard. I went in and started doing the treatments, and I the whole time going through treatment, if I can, I can't express it enough to people, because the main thing that shuts people down is, one thing with the chemo, yes, the chemo is poison, and 2, people stop putting nutrients in their body because they're nauseous and they don't want to eat. When I was going through it, I ate right through the nauseousness. Whether I threw up or not, I still ate. So I went in to my treatment at 210 pounds. I came out at 270 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I ate quite a bit, getting constantly through the entire treatment, because I didn't want to, I didn't want the medication to overtake me. And I think at that point, I didn't lose any hair. I didn't have any side effects besides I took an 8 milligram Zofran through the whole treatment process, because I would just get a little nauseous out of my treatment.
Right.
And I had two of my nurses that took care of me, and they both had like 50 years experience. And they looked at me like, Ray, I've never had anybody come in here and take this treatment the way you've taken this treatment. She's like, we actually have an individual that is your age that is having the worst time ever trying to get through this. So I didn't know. I was like, because when I went in there and I sat down, I had a port in my chest right here. So she like hooked me up, and I was like nervous. I was like, how's this gonna be? She goes, I'm gonna tell you something right now. After today, however you feel is how the rest of the treatments are going to be. So the whole time I was there for 4 hours because they had to do a lot of testing with the medication because it's obviously really potent. So when I got out of there, I actually just felt like I was on like a Valium. And my whole body was like humming, like, ooh, that's how I felt. So I was like, okay, well, this is not bad. You know, I was expecting it to be really worse.
Right.
So, you know, I went through that whole treatment, but in the meantime of going through that treatment, that's when I really started like digging into what cancer was, and then digging into how the body functions and how the body works. And what I found out is that the body wants to repair itself. And at the end of the day, if we don't allow the body to clean itself, it puts itself into a state of like acidic.
Right.
And when it's in an acidic state, that's where diseases and colds and viruses, that's where they fester in. So the more you can keep your body in an alkaline state, you allow the body to heal and repair and regenerate its cells. So that's when I really went down the wormhole with that, and I actually got educated and certified in juice therapy, because the only way I feel to get oxygen into the blood is through raw nutrients, because it's living. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I really started diving in and started using the treatments on myself.
Okay.
You know, so like, you know, like coming down with the minor cold, you know, sinuses, this, that, yeah. Just quit eating cooked food and pump yourself full of like fruits and raw vegetables. I guarantee you within 72 hours, you know, that'll be cleared up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the model that I want to bring out to everybody, is that we can take care of ourselves. Your body wants to take care of itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, if you keep putting, you know, nonsense in there, you're not allowing the body to do what it needs to do to repair itself.
Right.
You know, you get cut on the surface of your skin, it heals. Well, your internal tissues want to do the same thing.
Right.
But if you don't give them the right nutrients and proper treatment to do that, it can't do that. You know what I mean? And then it just go into like what they call like chronic diseases. You know, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I feel like that's just a Western medicine protocol to prolong people to keep taking medications over and over and over. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like my focus right now, is to spread as much of that as I can.
Okay.
To try to help, you know, as much people, especially people with cancer.
Right.
Because everybody gets freaked out about cancer, and like cancer just doesn't survive on oxygen. So shut your system down from eating cooked food, pump yourself full of raw nutrients, and I guarantee you you'll shrink those cells.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So that would be the biggest piece of advice. So if somebody is watching this and maybe they themselves have cancer, or they have a loved one who has cancer, let's kind of back up just a little bit. So when you were going through your treatments and you were able to put on all that weight, what were you doing like to keep that? I
was still working out. Obviously still doing physical activity, which I recommend everybody to do. And I was eating. You know, I even when I was nauseous and I didn't want to eat, I was still eating. If I threw up, fine, I threw up, but I still was eating. Right. And that's where a lot of people get it messed up, is they don't eat. So then once they don't eat, now you have no nutrients. So now your organs can't function. We're full of our insides we're made up of like vitamins and minerals. So if you don't keep the vitamin and mineral intake up, your organs can't function properly. Right. You know what I'm saying? With the proper nutrients. So I was eating a lot of vegetables. I was just kind of eating everything I could constantly eat just to keep the nutrients in my body.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Were you following like a specific guideline, like a keto diet, Mediterranean?
Not at that time. I was just making sure that I was eating consistently.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I wasn't eating like garbage,
right.
You know, garbage foods like that.
You weren't eating Oreos? And
No, like nothing processed. Yeah. I'm all about whole foods.
Right.
That's what my motto is about, whole foods. And we're all human. We all do mess up here and there with stuff like that. I get that. But I kind of focus more to all whole foods, you know, because our body absorbs the whole food. Right. You know what I mean? That's what our body wants. So I just kind of like stay away from all the fillers, all the byproducts, and all that sort of stuff. Like if I'm doing juices, it's going to be all organic juices.
Got it.
And that sort of thing.
So if you're giving them advice, it's like avoid all the processed foods.
Yeah, in general, just overall, I would just avoid any of that stuff because our body doesn't recognize the preservatives, the byproducts, the fillers, because we don't recognize that, so it stores it.
Right.
So I keep storing that and accumulating that in the body. Then the body's gonna start creating symptoms, which are defense mechanisms that our body creates.
Right.
It's the same thing with like cancer, like a tumor. All a tumor is it's a capsule around toxicity. You know, so then when they want to go in and like remove it or disrupt it, well, they break that tumor, and now that tumor still says go over to all the other toxicity, and then it keeps jumping around. You know what I'm saying? So like that, I mean, the way to flush the body of the toxicity is obviously in an alkaline state. The body will clean it and cleanse itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
So like I know it's hard for people, and I get it a lot when I try to explain this and talk to people. It's hard for people to wrap their head around it. You know, like, to be honest with you, it is that easy. But we've been brainwashed and misled for so long that people only know one way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Natural medicine's been around for over 5,000 years. Western medicine's been around since when?
Maybe the last 120, 150 years.
And we're so brainwashed over it. That's to me is what blows my mind.
Right.
And a lot of people are just not receptive to it because they don't think that it's a possible way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if I can get the message out, if I could just get somebody to let me help them, you know what I mean, to show it. Because I put myself through a 28-day juice fast. And I'll tell you what, after day 15, I felt like superhuman.
Right.
I felt incredible. My cognitive function was awesome. My sleep was good. I wasn't fatigued. I had no soreness. I had no inflammation. You know, inflammation is the number one key for pain.
Right.
You know, you reduce the inflammation or reduce the pain.
Right.
You know?
I think a lot of people get in the mindset, and I was just talking to my front desk this morning, and her mother has polyneuropathy, or all that essentially means is you have inflammation of a lot of nerves in your body. And her doctor was telling her, oh, it's just old age, and you just got to learn to live with it. And, you know, I really don't like that excuse because I see plenty of 80 and 90-year-olds that are still very active and living a full life. It's just, I think that sometimes medical doctors kind of get in this, they don't have as much time to spend with you, and they're just, okay, I need to get as many people in and out to bill insurance because I'm on a time crunch, I've got to meet a quota in order to pay my bills this month. And they get paid by these prescribing medications or procedures, not necessarily through education. Like, maybe it's not age. Maybe it's that you're smoking, eating inflammatory foods.
It's what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're creating your own environment. You know what I mean? And yeah, I totally. And it's like, to me too. I'm not a doctor by any means. But what I've witnessed over the years and what I've experienced over the years, it's like, to me, like, a cured patient isn't a paying patient. So like, Western medicine, in my outlook, is designed to treat the symptom and never the root cause of the problem. So when you treat the symptom with one medication, that medication is going to create another symptom. So when you go into the doctor is only focusing on why you're there.
Right.
For that symptom. He's not focused on what's causing that symptom. You know what I mean?
I do.
So that's like my hugest thing. Like, I go to the doctor. I get blood work on myself every 8 weeks, but I know how to read my blood work. And I also know too. I was going through, and I have a regular PCP doctor that I go to, and then I had a naturopath doctor that I was going to. So when I get my blood work from my PCP, he would tell me, "Oh, your blood work is good. Everything is perfect. Blah blah blah." Well, just because your blood work is in the green on the measuring doesn't necessarily mean that you operate at that lower end. You may need to be up on the higher end of that spectrum to feel where you need to feel, because you can be like, oh, I'm feeling off, but my blood work is feeling right. Well, maybe because some of them levels need to be elevated some more. You know what I mean? Right. And that's what I learned from my naturopath, because she took some blood work from my PCP, and I brought it to her. And she told me the same thing. She's like, well, yeah, you probably have to be up. So we raised those levels, and I was having a lot of So the chemo jacked up my liver and my gallbladder. So I couldn't really eat. The only thing I could eat was like rice and steamed vegetables, which is what I could only process. But then the rice and steamed vegetable were jacking up my triglycerides. Like it wasn't good. I was eating too much of it because I was trying to just stay full and make sure I was eating food. And once I found, and then if I would eat anything outside, like say I was like, oh, I'm not gonna eat carbs. I'm gonna just try to do like more like plants and protein. It would kill me over. I had so much pain right here, but I didn't know where it was coming from.
Right.
So she actually put me through a cleanse, which was a liver gallbladder cleanse, and I passed gallstones probably the size of like marbles.
Oh wow.
Like lime green. Like I never even know the body can produce that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I did that. And you can do that treatment. You know, you have to space it out 4 to 6 weeks because it is kind of a little like aggressive. Because what happens is it's just a natural mixture. It's just extra virgin olive oil, some grapefruit juice, and lemon juice. But what it does is that you clean out your system with some magnesium oxide, so you're like empty. And then you drink this stuff and you lay on your side for 30 minutes. And what the oil and the citrus does is it causes the liver and the gallbladder to spasm. And it flushes the toxins and it flushes out that gallbladder duct.
Oh wow.
And then you just pass it out in the morning.
Yeah.
So I had to do that twice, and since I did it twice, I have had no issues.
Very neat.
Yeah, I cleaned it all, and I had an ultrasound done on it like 8 weeks ago, and yeah, everything's fine. It's like back to normal. And and gallbladder, they want to take that thing out.
Right.
And the minute you got a problem with it, like, oh, let's take it out. No, you don't have to. You can flush it and heal it. It'll heal itself.
Yeah.
Like you need that.
Right.
I mean, you do need that.
Yeah.
So these parts aren't meant to be taken out. I mean, yeah, you can, but they're not supposed to be because now you have to alter the way you live.
Right. Yeah, and I think one of the things that, you know, from a mentor of mine, it was the definition of health is that your organs are functioning at 100% of their full potential. And when you start taking out these organs, how can you ever be 100% healthy, right?
Okay.
According to that definition, you can't. So if you're taking out your tonsils, part of your thyroid, your gallbladder, all of these are very important to your function. And it's, I think, you know, especially with diabetes, if your pancreas isn't functioning, then obviously you're not healthy. So to define health, we have to have every organ in your system functioning at its capacity. And when you're putting toxins in your body, that's just not possible, right?
Correct.
When you're abusing them. So if they would have taken your gallbladder out, you know, and this is just kind of a little side note, anybody that has had their gallbladder out, I always recommend that they take ox bile salts or something like that to help, because you're not getting
celery juice.
Right.
It's got a lot of bile salts and stuff in it.
Right, because you're not getting those digestive enzymes that are naturally produced by the body. So, but the cleanse is something I would definitely recommend. Talk to like a natural healthcare provider or somebody who's, you know, versed in that. Otherwise, you know, you definitely don't want to have like an instance where it causes more.
Yeah, if you're gonna do like a cleanse or a detox of any sort, I mean, for what I teach, as far as it's just a way to go in it and a way to come out of it are the most important part.
Right.
Once you're in it, it's fine. It's just pretty much smooth sailing, and you can pretty much, you know, as long as you're putting in the raw juice and nutrients, it doesn't matter what mixtures you want to use. What I've noticed is all, you know, vegetables and fruits and stuff, everything kind of obtains the same sort of vitamins and minerals. Some just have higher levels than others. So depending on what your taste buds like, you know, you can utilize whatever you want. Even if you're in an area where, like, I don't know, say like you're up north somewhere and fruit is not running as it does down here, you just kind of like adapt to what is running there. And you can eat abundance of whatever. You know, your body's still going to be full of oxygen, and that's what you want. You want the oxygen, because the oxygen is what's going to help clean, flush your cells, and keep you optimized, keep you moving at that rate of health where you're cleaning. You know what I mean? Like that's what you mainly want. You want to focus on like your kidneys, your liver, because the liver does one of the main functions of your body. That does so much. You know, its job is incredible compared to like your kidneys, but they're both important because your kidneys filter everything. Then your liver processes everything, breaks everything out, and then try to utilize it where it needs to utilize it.
Right.
You know, so those are like my main focus is when I try to help people flush the kidneys, flush the liver. That'll help regulate your stomach bile. That'll help regulate your intestines. You know, that sort of thing. So if you can keep those areas clean, you should be riding smooth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then the heart's going to be moving the way it needs. It's not going to be struggling to try to pump,
Right.
you know, where it needs to go. You know, if those organs are struggling, that's now your heart's working overtime.
Right.
Now it's trying to like get the blood where it needs to go, get the nutrients where it needs to go. And if it's all clogged up and jammed up, it can't go anywhere. Now it's working overtime.
Yeah. Are there like any fruits, because I know a lot of fruits are really high in sugars, are there any fruits that you tell people to avoid? Or
So like for instance, it's natural fruit, and when you eat fruit, fruit doesn't pass through your pancreas, it passes through your liver. Because the fructose goes through the liver, not through the pancreas. Yeah, it'll elevate your sugar, but like if I was treating somebody with diabetes, I'm not gonna pump them full of fruit. You'll do a lot of greens. You're gonna do a lot of like stuff to purify the blood, to drop the blood sugar. You know, like beets and pomegranate seeds. Like those are huge for reducing. Cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is a natural detoxifier. It helps drop blood sugar. It's extremely well for just flushing toxins with cayenne pepper. Like I put cayenne pepper in a lot of the juices that I make.
Right.
And I have this one staple that I keep in my fridge. Is I make this. It's like a ginger. I do 1.5 pounds of ginger root, 5 lemons, 5 limes, and I put 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper. And what that does is it helps neutralize the stomach acid. It helps settle your stomach, and it helps heal through your intestines.
Right.
And then obviously the cayenne pepper will help, you know, pump a lot of that stuff out as well.
Right.
So I mean I have a buddy who was on Nexium, which is acid reflux for 8 years.
Wow.
And I gave him that juice, and he hasn't taken his Nexium since then.
It was very cool.
Yeah. So and I also had a buddy who was an alcoholic, who ended up burning out that flap in his esophagus. So every time he would lay down, the acid would come up. I made him had him taking that juice, and he's got that all settled down for himself too.
Wow.
So it's like just putting the right things that a body wants that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that it wants the oxygen, it wants the raw nutrients, because it was put here for a reason. You know, the fillers, the byproducts, that stuff wasn't put here.
Right.
You know?
So if your friends didn't know you, then they may still be on the proton pump inhibitors, or still have like the destroyed lower esophageal sphincter. So, you know, I think that we see a lot of gut health patients here, and so, you know, that's something that.
And that's what I battled with. The cancer messed up my bio, you know, and that was one of the things that they had said that it may happen. So like even the probiotics and stuff that I was taking wasn't touching it, you know. And then once I started with the raw nutrients, and I kept being consistent with it, you know, over time, like, you know, it's gonna heal itself,
right?
You know, like nothing's like a quick fix, but as long as you keep administrating it day in and day out, it's just like a habit. And it's just like I tell everybody too, if you want to start transitioning, so like you're so used to doing this, and this, you just take one thing at a time. You know, each day. So like if you're a big coffee drinker, I had a friend who was a huge coffee drinker, who drank 6-7 cups of coffee throughout the day. I'm like, that's not good.
Right.
So like I told her, like, start out your morning with just a fresh glass of juice, and then go to your coffee. So, but you know it's going to happen once she transitions from that juice to that coffee. How do you think that coffee's going to taste in her mouth?
Probably pretty terrible.
Right. So then she's not going to want that coffee.
Right.
But she's going to get the energy that she's looking for from that coffee out of that raw nutrients from consuming that freshly in the morning on an empty stomach.
Right.
Because everybody gets up and drinks coffee on an empty stomach. But if you put the raw nutrient in it, it's going to fill you with oxygen. You're going to feel awake. You know what I mean?
And so it's not something that you're not talking about like a Tropicana juice or something like that.
I'm talking about like get out like a cold pressed juicer and get some fruits and do it the right way.
Just want to be clear.
You want to stay away from anything from concentrate. I do notice there is a brand. I know that Publix carries it. Detweiler's carries it around. It's made by Lakewood Ranch or Lakewood something. I think it's Lakewood Ranch is the name of the brand. But it's all. The only ingredients in there is what's on the label. So if it's pomegranate, that's the only thing that's in it is pomegranate. Right. And you can tell because it has all the pulp and stuff in it. I buy a lot of those too. if I'm like making juices, because you could like pour them into each other.
Really easy.
Yeah, it's very convenient. Because juicing, yes, I'm not gonna lie, it's a process. You know, it does make a mess. So like I take a day if I'm gonna do my juicing. Like I juice for 3 days, get that juice made up, and then that's what I drink for the 3 days, and then I redo it and go on from there.
Got it.
So I mean that's and that's what I think a lot of people get shy away, because it is a little bit of a process to do it. But like at the end of the day, like what I've learned and the experience I went through with being sick, if anything was ever to happen like that, I would definitely, it wouldn't be a question of doubt. Like I would shut down, take care of what I have to take care of. Because I think that's what a lot of people are, is they get diagnosed or they are sick, and then when they do end up doing some treatment and they're like in the clear, they don't change their life. They don't change what they're doing. So they continue to keep doing what they're doing, trying to think they're going to get different results.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of changing, like I was sick, I changed my entire lifestyle for what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like I got rid of a lot of things that I was, taking or drinking or going out, and a lot of that stuff I minimized a lot of all that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, you have to, at that point in time, it's like your body's like, okay, you need to change up what you're doing.
Right.
That's what that, to me, is.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate, just like cancer, there are 4 stages, and I talk about this in some of my other videos, that most of these processes have the 4 stages. Like even with neuropathy, there are 4 stages to that. It's like, obviously there's the first warning signs, like, oh, maybe like I don't feel my feet as well, or a little bit of numbness and tingling. Then stage 2 is, oh, I'm gonna talk to my doctor, or, what's going on? Maybe you start taking more Aleve or ibuprofen. Then you get in stage 3 and you're having trouble walking, you're talking to a neurologist about gabapentin or Lyrica or Cymbalta or something like that. And then, most of our patients, 80% of them don't come in until stage 3. And then by that time, we're having to spend a whole year with them, we're having to repair all the damage that's been done. Whereas just like, with cancer, if you catch it in stage 1, it's a lot more treatable, or stage 2, and I'm sure,
And to be honest with you too, and what I've learned, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I watched a ton of documentaries I watched this one documentary on this lady who had cancer from her neck to her feet and couldn't even move. And they're like, oh, you're terminal, go home. The family brought her home, and she was only able to use a straw. And they just kept feeding her nutrients, thinking that, okay, she's only got a few days, but at least let's keep giving her some stuff to try to make her feel comfortable. And the more they did that, the more her body started coming back. She was getting feeling where she could move her neck. Then it like moved down to her shoulder. Then she was able to move her hand. So like once they started seeing that, they just kept more and more and more. And before you know it, she was at the end of the documentary sitting up, 76 years old, talking about it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like the body will heal itself. That's what it's meant to do.
Right.
Like, period. Nobody will ever tell me otherwise. Because like I said, if we get cut on the outside of the body, it heals within a few days.
Right.
The organs will do the same thing. Unless you have a genetic mutation or something along that line. But if you've got the common chronic disease that they're saying, or cancer or a blood disorder, or this, you can restore that. Right. You can bring the body back to homeostasis and bring it back to where its normal function is, because we obviously throw our body out of whack with the stuff that we put in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you just take a minute and take yourself 90 to 100 days to really clean yourself out, you can restart your entire system. It's guaranteed.
Right.
I believe that totally.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like a bunch of literature and stuff that I've learned in my certifications, like 90 days to 100 days, if you're dealing with something, if you can shut yourself down and detox for 90 days, you're probably about 90% sure that'll be gone.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what I was willing to teach. I'm hoping somebody just give me an opportunity just to show that, because I know that'll happen.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like just the way the body operates.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just a big believer in that. I have a passion for it. I've done this stuff on myself. I've seen a lot of things, happen with just using natural remedies. 90% of the people I deal with are on that path. That have been dealing with stuff that they have taken care of on their own. So yeah, it's a huge passion for me.
Yeah,
a huge passion
for sure. That's great.
So,
Well, thanks for coming and sharing your story. And
Thank you for
to
having me.
anybody out there that's watching, is there anything you'd like to share with them? Just advice?
just if you guys are dealing with something and you're not sure, you're not happy with your doctor's response, there's definitely other avenues of you taking care of yourself. If you want, you can reach out to my website, detoxifywellness.com. I'll be glad to do a free consultation with you, talk to you, give you some pointers, and then we can work together.
Yeah,
Go
perfect.
from there.
So I'll put that information in the description below so that if anybody wants to reach out to Ray, ask him any questions, you can also comment below and then you'll have the link.
I also have an Instagram too, Detoxify Wellness. You
Yep.
can message me on there, follow me on there too as well.
Perfect. I'll put those links below too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. And so thanks everybody for watching this. Like I said, if you yourself are struggling and you need help, then obviously Ray can be a very good point of contact for you. And if you know of anybody, we would really appreciate just sharing this information with them. At least it gives them maybe a different alternative or a different viewpoint about a different path that they can take, because I'm sure you were scared when you got that.
Yeah.
So
I'm like 36 years old. I'm like, now I'm
Right.
trying to fight for my life.
right.
And I got an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking for
Yeah.
me. That's why I was and it's about the mindset too. I
Mhm.
tell everybody too, it's about the mindset. Think positive, you can get through it.
Right.
We're all fighters.
Mhm.
So that's just my main thing. It's like, I was definitely scared, but there's definitely a way out. There's definitely other alternatives.
Awesome. Yeah.
But
Well,
definitely thank you for having me, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Ray. And thank you, everybody. And
Hey, guys.
we'll see you all soon. Bye.